Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Richmond County Board of Commissioners regular monthly meeting for Tuesday, June the 4th, 2024. We will begin tonight's meeting, as we always do, with our invocation, which is given by Pastor Robert Gainey of Shining Light Free Will Baptist Church tonight. Welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me, Commissioner. Thank you for inviting me back. Each time I come up here, I say they won't invite me back again. But I appreciate it. Let's bow our heads. Our gracious and heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for all the blessings that you give each and every one of us, dear Lord. Lord, we come to you tonight with a thankful and a humble heart, dear Heavenly Father. We pray that your will be done in each and every one of our lives, Lord. We thank you for the leaders of our community, dear Jesus. We pray that you'll continue to strengthen them and encourage them, dear Heavenly Father. We pray for the ones that are out there, Lord, that are in need. Dear Lord, you know what they're in need of. Lord, help us to always put you first in our life. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Item 2 is our Pledge of Allegiance. If you're able, please stand with us and recite.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3 is Commissioners, you have the agenda in front of you tonight. We will go with it as is, no revisions or anything, so I need a motion to approve the agenda. I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Thank you. The agenda is approved by Commissioners. Commissioner Dustin Dawkins is on WebEx tonight. He's not here, but he's on WebEx and he will be participating in our meeting as well. Item 4 is a consent agenda. Is there any questions about the consent agenda tonight, Commissioner?
Mr. Chairman, motion to adopt the consent agenda as it's presented.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Tonight's consent agenda is approved by Commissioners. Item 5 is a proclamation for Elder Abuse Awareness Day. Teresa Smith is here with us, Deputy Director of Social Services tonight. Welcome, Teresa.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. June is Elder Abuse Awareness Month, and we have a proclamation that we're asking that you sign and support. Whereas Richmond County joins the world in recognizing World Elderly Abuse Awareness on June 15th, and whereas Richmond County, our nation, and the world understands that abuse, neglect, and exploitation is grossly underreported to County Social Services Office, and whereas Richmond County elderly population, regardless of social, economic, racial, and ethnic backgrounds, are targets of potential abuse, neglect, and or exploitation, which can occur in their homes, in the community, in adult care homes, even in nursing homes. And whereas Richmond County, in accordance with North Carolina state laws, which established the first elder abuse laws in the nation in 1973, recognizes the need for greater measures to be put into place to protect our elder citizens, and whereas it is the responsibility and civic duty as mandated by state law that all citizens of North Carolina report suspected abuse, neglect, and or exploitation to their local county Department of Social Services, and whereas Richmond County will provide services to investigate allegations of abuse, neglect, and or exploitation. These services aid our elder citizens by improving their quality of life and helping to maintain their independence. Elder independence ensures that the community will continue to benefit from the wisdom and experience of this older generation. Now, therefore, we, the Richmond County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim June 15th, 2024 to be the Elder Abuse Awareness Day. Our elder population is a valuable resource that cannot be measured. We encourage all citizens to be vigilant for acts of abuse, neglect, and or exploitation perpetrated on the elderly, not only on this day, but every day of the year.
Thank you, Teresa. Commissioners, you heard the proclamation. Can I get a motion to adopt the proclamation, please? Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you.
I
Appreciate
also-
the proclamation is approved.
Thank you. I also wanted to share that on June the 17th at 9 a.m., we are going to be holding a Elder Abuse Awareness Walk. Registration will begin at 8:30 and the walk will begin at 9 o'clock at the Department of Social Services. And we hope that if you're able, you'll join us.
Great, thank you. Just stay right there with us, Tracy, and we'll go to item 6, resolution by the County of Richmond to direct the expenditure of opioid settlement funds. If you're gonna help us with this one too,
Yes, sir.
all right?
So, sorry, I'm trying to get back and forth. So the first one is the collaborative strategic plan, and we have a resolution requesting $86,329 for this. This is a reduction from what we asked for last year. We did not need the entire amount that was requested last year, and so we've reduced this request. This covers a part-time coordinator that assists with the different work that we do with the opioid grants and monitoring them. It also pays for part of the salary for the person who keeps up our website and the information that we share on there, and that the secretarial duties that are done to put out the RFP and to the reviews and things that we do on this.
Any questions, Commissioner?
Teresa, this only deals with the funds for administrative purposes and cost and does not impact the funds that are set aside for the grants, is that right?
That is correct. This
Okay.
is a separate, the only thing that would not be specifically administrative is like if we're paying to run brochures to share in the community. We're required to do 2 meetings a year with community leaders and things like that. So there may be other expenses, but it does not affect the grants.
Yeah, I think my concern, and probably the board would share this, is that we just wanna make sure that those grant funds are available for local entities to help our folks that are addicted as part of this opioid crisis, so thank you.
I'll be sharing several more of those in a minute.
Okay.
Commissioners, on the resolution, do I have a motion to accept the resolution?
Motion.
Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed? Commissioners have approved the resolution.
Mr. Chairman,
Mhm.
they're all, they wanted them all in one item, so you got like 3 or 4 other ones, resolutions,
Okay, all right,
so we just want to do that in one quick.
at the end,
Mhm.
okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The next resolution is for $40,000, and this is for the purchase of Narcan for community and county first responders. And this is also a reduction for what we asked for last year. We did not use all of the funds that we had requested last year, and so we asked for a smaller amount this year. Any other questions about
Any
that
other
one?
questions on
Okay. And the next one is for $99,503, and this is for Samaritan Colony Recovery Support Services. This is the exact amount that they received in the fiscal year 23-24, so it was their first allocation, and then 2 other times the board approved additional allocations for them. So this is a request for the same funding that they received last year. We are right at the end of their fiscal year. They were receiving money, and I think when we met in May, the end of May, they only had 3 or 4 participants left to serve for Richmond County to meet their annual agreement. And so they have done very well with providing those services for Richmond County residents. Any questions about that one? Okay, and the next one is for $75,000, and this is for First Health Peer Support. This is an increase from what they received last year. Last year it was, I'm sorry, I don't remember the amount off the top of my head, but it was around, I think, $50,497, if I remember correctly. And we did not give any additional allotments to them. Last year, there was some change in staffing, and they were not able to complete the closeout that we requested of us gathering information on time for us to make any recommendations. So it was recommended that that be given to Samaritan. So we are recommending to give them an additional just under $25,000 for peer support to increase the hours that they provide in the community for peer support services.
Questions?
Okay, and the next one is for 48,000. Well, I think this other one, the other has already been approved, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have a copy of the proposal for the jail. Yes, I'm sorry, it says it was approved in May. You've already approved that, but we added it in our numbers just to show the total amount that we would be expending this year. And that was $48,671. And then the last request that the Drug Task Force is making is that we offer 2 new RFPs that we have the RFP ready to go out. I brought copies in case anyone wanted to see a copy of what would be going out. If this is approved, we will be emailing this out to the Drug Task Force, to partners who have already contacted us asking to apply the next time that we offer an RFP. It will go on the county website and the newspaper. So all of that will happen tomorrow if this is approved today. We need to post that for 30 days, and then we will go through our process of reviewing and interviewing and making recommendations and bring that back to the commissioners. We are recommending that we open 2 RFPs for $75,000 each for a total of $150,000, and that would bring the total that we are looking to budget for the 24-25 year at $500,000.
Are there any guidelines in there that tell the possible recipients, what the task force is looking for and what they might not be doing to receive?
It's not as much specific to the possible recipients, but we have what's called Exhibit A to North Carolina MOA that's provided to us that says the categories that the proposals have to meet, and that is included in these. And should I leave copies for y'all of this or something maybe? This is the actual RFP that will go out, and I have a copy for each of you here that I will leave for you. And it should give that same information in here, but there are 12 different categories that the opioid funds are to be spent on, and so it tells what those are. So as we're reviewing those, we are trying to look at areas that maybe we haven't been growing, or maybe this time somebody will offer RFP for a different program that we're not already offering or already seeing in our county. And so the Drug Task Force reviews them to see, we do a lot of different surveys and gather data, and so we sort of are looking at what the issues are in our community and what kind of programs we recommend that would help with the issues that we're currently seeing.
One other thing, I know we spoke with Raleigh once about some data, maybe gathered to show what these programs are actually doing so we can have a better idea of where the money's going.
Okay.
I mean, I get the meetings for the task force, but it'd be nice to see a larger picture.
Sure, and I'm sure that's available. We evaluated both programs twice. We evaluated them mid-year before we made the recommendations for any further funding, and then we're right at the end of this year, and so we'll be doing a second audit on them. And so some of the data, like where I said that Samaritan Colony was right at completing the number that they agreed to see, and that's including what they agreed at the end of the year, and each time we gave them more money, they agreed to a new amount to serve. And so they report out each month at our Drug Task Force their numbers and how many they're serving, and then we also do the audit where we gather all that information, so I'm sure that we can provide that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I knew that first Dr. Gilliam had moved away, so I'm
guessing that part of their funding for them has shifted to cover a different area of their project, or how is that?
Not any of the opioid funds were specific to fund anything there. I know that there were peer supports that I think were reassigned to other areas, but there was not any opioid funding grants that were given specifically to that office. It was just to the two I said, and then we had Samaritan and First Health for those two programs, and we had also originally awarded a grant to the cooperative extension, but they withdrew due to staffing. They were not able to staff the position that they had intended to use. So that was the 3 grants that we recommended and the commissioners authorized last year.
So tonight, the resolution for us to approve, what of all this does this include? Does this include all the 500,000 total that you just mentioned, including the 2 RFPs?
Yes, sir, except for the one that was approved in May. Everything else, we have copies of resolutions and the request for the RFP to go out tomorrow.
Any further questions, Commissioners?
Is this a fiscal year from June 30 to July 1, Mr. Garner? How do these grant funds?
July 1 to.
Just exactly opposite of what you said, July 1 to June 30. Yes, sir.
And all of the money that was approved last year has already been paid out. Except for that I said that we did not spend, it didn't take the full amount that you authorized, and so that is still in the account. We did not touch anything that we did not have the need to spend, as in the Narcan, where we had enough Narcan available and did not need to buy any additional, and the strategic planning, that we did not use that whole amount.
Commissioners? Motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed? Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate it.
I will leave these, can I? Thank you.
Thank you. Item 7 is a request approval of annual fire contracts. Mr. Bob Smith, our Emergency Services Director, is here with us. Welcome, Bob.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. It is that time of year again when we need to approve the annual fire contracts. These contracts include Cordova, Derby, East Rockingham, Mountain Creek, Northside, and also Mount Gilead and Pekin in Montgomery County, who offer mutual aid to us for certain areas. There is no verbiage change from last year on these contracts, so we're asking that you just approve them as presented.
Any questions, Commissioner? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the annual fire contract. Motion to approve. Thank you, sir. We have a motion. Do I have a second? Have a second. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed? Thanks, Bob. Item 8, request approval of interlocal agreements resolution for building inspection services. Tracy Parrish, our planning director, is here with us this evening. Welcome.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. My first item tonight is the interlocal agreements for building inspection services. It will be for the following following cities: the city of Hamlet, the town of Ellerby, the town of Dobbins Heights, town of Norman, and the town of Hoffman. We do those contracts on a fiscal year basis every year annually to provide the building inspection services for those 5 municipalities, since they do not have the inspection services available. And I'm asking for your approval on that tonight.
So no change from,
No change from last year.
any questions, Commissioner?
Are we seeing any difference in cost doing this for the municipalities, or is it pretty much the same every year, just growth?
Correct. And we get the inspection fees off of the actual service performed.
Motion to approve, Mr.
I
Chairman.
have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you, Tracy. That's been approved. Item 9, request approval of appointments to the Planning and Zoning Board of Adjustments. Tracy, you as well.
This is just a formal request for the Board of Commissioners to reappoint the following to serve another 3-year term on the Planning and Zoning Board of Adjustments. It will run from July 1st of 2024 through June 30th of 2027. Following are Tim Hayden, Gerald Witherspoon, Willis Spivey, and Deborah Parsons as an alternate. And I'm asking that you approve this evening.
Motion for these appointments.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion and a second.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye. All opposed? The appointments to the Planning and Zoning Board of Adjustments are approved by commissioners. Item 10, public hearing on road or access closure request off Perry Williams Road. Tracy?
Last month, I brought before you a resolution to close out a small piece of what was dedicated as an access roadway. You got the maps to refer back to. The property owners, which are over the track, have requested that this be closed out so that they can close in the parcel completely. This is just a formality since there was an easement done with a plat book back from 1964. And I am asking, we're gonna open up the public hearing for this, and should the, you find, once the public hearing is, opened and closed, if after the public hearing, you find the closing of the road is not contrary to public interest and no individual will be deprived of a reasonable means of ingress and egress to their property, you may adopt the order to close this road easement. And if you wanna open the
Sure.
public hearing.
Sure, so now I'll open the floor for public hearing. If anyone's here would like to speak on this request to close off this portion of Perry Williams Road, please come to the podium at this time. Okay, I'll take that as a no, so I'll close the public hearing. And I'll take it to item 11 for request approval of order to close the road.
And at this time, you know, like I said, if you find that the road is not contrary to public interest and you find a reasonable means of ingress and egress to their property, you may adopt the order to close this road or easement. And I'm asking for that request tonight.
Any further questions on that, Commissioner? I have a motion to accept this closure.
Yes, motion to accept disclosure as stated.
I have a motion and I have a second from Commissioner Root. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Chris is moving through. Thanks, Tracy. Item 12 is a request approval to accept the Shell Building Loan Funds. Economic Developer, Ms. Marty Butler is here tonight. Welcome, Marty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. I'm here to request the board to adopt a resolution which gives Richmond County the authority to accept a $2 million Shell Building loan from PDEMC. It's actually a federal red leg program loan, a 0% interest. And this goes for the construction of our Shell Building in the Richmond County Industrial Park. Any questions?
Marty, this is Shell Building number
6.
6.
Yes.
Yeah. Very successful program that we've had to attract future industry in Richmond County. Any further questions on this, Commissioners? If not, I'll ask for your approval to accept the loan funds.
Motion to approve these.
I have a motion and I have a second from Commissioner Dawkins. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed?
Thank you.
Thanks, Marty. Appreciate you. Item 13, June of every year, we go through our budget process for the upcoming fiscal year, which runs from July 1 to June 30th. So tonight we will start with our public hearing on our FY 24-25 proposed budget, which has been published for review if anyone chose to do that. So I'll open the floor for a public hearing. If anyone wants to discuss items included in this budget for the upcoming year, please do so at this time. Please come to the podium. Okay, take that as a no, so we'll close that public hearing. And we'll move on with the formal presentation, item number 14, the formal presentation of our FY 2024-25 proposed budget from our county manager, Mr. Brian Lee. Brian?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In accordance with the North Carolina General Statutes, I am pleased to present this evening for your review and consideration the proposed Richmond County budget for fiscal year 24-25.
This budget is a result of the combined efforts of all department heads as well as many other employees who assisted with the tracking and monitoring of the various revenues and expenditures. As always, I sincerely appreciate the efforts of our Finance Director, Mr. Kerry Garner, and his Deputy Finance Director, Ms. Missy Kelly, and their team in our Finance Office. I feel that the proposed budget is both understandable and very straightforward. I would like to call to your attention some items in which I would appreciate your special review and consideration. Of course, there may be other areas of the budget that you will want to review in detail, and Kerry and I will be glad to do that. Over the last 7 years, the county's made great strides in improving our overall financial We've increased our unassigned fund balance percentage from 5.03 to 24.81. Additionally, our available fund balance has increased from 11.82 to 32.40 currently. Our debt burden has been slashed by over 50%, or roughly $23 million, from $45 million to $21 million during the same time frame. Since 2018, we have worked vigorously on moving the general fund's dependence on solid waste transfers. It's important to note that we've been very fortunate with our investment income over the last 2 years, as interest rates have risen to levels we haven't witnessed in over 2 decades, allowing us to increase our yield on our investments considerably. We feel this high interest rate environment is nearing an end, and our savings yield will soon begin to deteriorate. This budget has been a tremendous challenge for myself and the entire staff. As you are aware, we have finalized our 8-year reval process and are witnessing the first major price appreciation in real estate in the county in almost 2 decades. This can be attributed to the smoldering real estate market that we're witnessing nationwide since COVID. While our 24-25 property and sales tax revenue is expected to exceed the amount budgeted for 23-24 substantially, the need for these additional funds is great. This budget also includes many large-scale projects as well as some smaller contributions to outside agencies and municipalities. Some of those include, but are not limited to, server upgrades for our IT department, locker plant demolition, magistrate and jail parking lot paving, Town of Norman contributions of $30,270, increasing funding to our community theater, as well as many others. The budget also includes a 50% increase to all municipalities, with the exception of Norman, because they do not have a Parks and Rec department, for Parks and Rec contributions. Our employees continue to lag in comparison to private industry when comparing salaries. They have received an annualized rate of 1.6% over the last 8 years. Additionally, in the past year, our fund balance has dwindled to inadequate levels. I am pleased to say that those frustrating times are in the rearview mirror. Our current ad valorem tax rate of 83 cents, has made recurring new industries challenging, but we have done well holding our own against our peers. I am pleased that we will be in a position to reduce that rate considerably this year. Additionally, we're still servicing $25 million in school bonds, an additional $20 million in the judicial center loan. And lastly, the lingering effects of COVID continue to influence every facet of county government as costs continue to escalate. Sales tax and ad valorem taxes are obviously the county's 2 primary sources of revenue. And like all other North Carolina counties, we are finally witnessing increasing in property values throughout Richmond County. Over the last 4 years, the national, state, and local economy has been thrown into total confusion by the carryover of the coronavirus outbreak. Many economists feel that the effects of COVID will continue to affect our economy for the foreseeable future, and the extent of those impacts and our future local economy remains to be unseen. We are slowly adjusting to the COVID state as the new norm. The FY 24-25 overall proposed general fund budget is balanced at $64,282,482. This proposed budget is both fiscally conservative in terms of revenues with realistic expense forecasting. There are funds set aside to meet our debt obligations and maintain our current county operations. As you're aware, much of the county's budget or approximately 44%, is made up of personnel costs. This budget also includes a 4% increase for our full-time employees and salaries, and the retention of the 2 bonus days off for all full-time employees as well. Employees can opt to receive a payment of $100 per day instead of taking time off. As I state often, we must do all we can to incentivize and protect our most valuable asset, our employees. The proposed budget also includes a small amount of funding to continue the merit program for our staff. The merit and longevity plans adopted by our Board of Commissioners have helped us to reward and retain those employees whose work means the most to our citizens in Richmond County. It is my goal to enhance these 2 plans in future budgets so that we are more in line with our peers. I would like to continue to allow county employees to take a paid day off for their birthday as well. This is an item that is included in this current year's budget. We have continued to fund the county employee health clinic operated through our local health department that began on a limited scale 13 years ago. The clinic will continue to be available at little or no cost to our employees. Benefits of this clinic may positively affect not only the general health of our employees, but our health insurance costs over the long haul also. Our Director of Health, Ms. Cheryl Spade, and I both feel very strongly about continuing to operate the clinic. We're continuing to provide health insurance for our full-time employees at no cost to the employee. The original renewal we received this year from BCBS was showing a 15.69% increase. We requested proposals from Aetna, Cigna, United Healthcare, First Carolina Care, and North Carolina League of Municipalities. Aetna, Cigna, FCC proposals were not competitive. United Healthcare declined to quote. And the League issued a very competitive proposal that we're able to negotiate down to a 0.34%, 0.34 over our current rate. We did get a revised proposal from BCBS, however, the rates were still hovering around 9% over our current rate, and we chose to go in a different direction. We'll be entering the Aetna network, and we'll be reducing the cost and provide the same level of benefits that we've offered over the last several years to our employees. Our supplemental health insurance policy with Bay Bridge issued a large increase at over 50%. However, we were able to move that coverage to Med Mutual at the same level of benefits at no increase in premium. Our dental with Companion went up 12%, and we looked at several options and were able to negotiate a multi-year rate guaranteed with Mutual of Omaha at our current dental rates. We were also able to move some of our ancillary life, disability to Mutual at the same rates as well. Our vision will remain the same with Community Eye Care at no rate increase. The proposed budget includes adequate funds to continue law enforcement and jail operations. The willingness of Sheriff Gulledge and Chief Childress to work with me on saving funds for the upcoming budget year have been crucial in our ability to balance this budget. The implementation of the revamped pay plan that you guys implemented 2 years ago has helped considerably with placing an emphasis on recruitment and retention. In the departments, we've been able to slash our vacancy rate from almost 18% to slightly under 9% this year. Our Richmond County Board of Education is recommended for an increase of $806,234, or 9.27% over the amount funded for fiscal year 23-24. Funding for Richmond Community College is also recommended for an increase of $91,684, or 3.67%. I sincerely appreciate the willingness and cooperation of Dr. McInnes and Dr. Farrell. Dr. McInnes is retiring later this year, and we wish him well in the next chapter of his life. He has been a crucial piece of the puzzle at the college and the growth on the campus that they have experienced over the last decade. Lastly, it's important to note that our local school systems are a tremendous portion of this budget. For our annual county budget coming in at $15,516,481, or approximately 24.14% of our total budget. The budget as proposed will require a tax rate of 75 cents per $100 of valuation, a decrease of 8 cents from last year. This is the lowest tax rate Richmond County has had in over 4 decades. In accordance with regulations of North Carolina Local Government Commission, the budget is based on a tax collection rate of 97.72% for property and a 100% collection rate for vehicles. It is important to note that our staff in collections continues to strive to shatter records each year. Just over a decade ago, we stood around 93%. Today, I'm proud to say our collection percentage is knocking on the door of 97.75. Our team in the tax department, led by Vegas Jackson and Michelle Holden, have done an outstanding job through this entire reval process. As stated above, the proposed general fund budget includes realistic revenue and expenditure projections. However, for the 5th year, consecutive time, since fiscal year 2011 and 2012, no transfer from solid waste was required to balance the budget. Additionally, for the 6th consecutive year, no fund balance was appropriated to balance the general fund. In the past, our available fund balance had gotten dangerously low to the 8.33 required minimum by the North Carolina Local Government Commission. In previous years, the only way to balance that general fund budget required a transfer from solid waste. Although the current budget is constricted, as previously mentioned, a 4% increase for our employees was included. This is something that myself and our Board of Commissioners made a priority to work into this budget. Segueing to solid waste and some of our enterprise funds. The proposal includes a solid waste budget that is balanced at $4,659,166. Budget includes an increase of 2.8% in commercial and residential fees. You'll recall we have absorbed increases of 1.6, 2.5, 3%, and 5.5% from URA Environmental based on Consumer Price Index. It's also important to note that last year we renegotiated our 10-year contract with URA for waste disposal, and that contract increased 30%. And Jerry just received notice about 2 weeks ago that we would be expecting an increase of 42% on our tire disposal starting July 1. Fuel prices continue to be a major concern for the department as well, as prices hover between $3.75 to $4.50 a gallon. Our Public Works Director, Jerry Austin, and his Assistant Director, Mr. Brian Leggett, continue to look for ways to cut our operational costs, increase productivity, land grants, and reducing our waste stream through increased recycling efforts. On the water side of the enterprise funds, the proposed water sewer budget is balanced at $6,545,938. This budget includes no increases for our residential customers and a 4.1% increase for our commercial customers. Occasional water rates, as you know, are necessary to keep up with the continued increases in operational costs, including the cost of water treatment chemicals, electricity, and fuel. Lee Butler, our water treatment facility superintendent, and his staff at water treatment have done a phenomenal job at controlling those costs at our facility. Lee and his staff have done an excellent job with upgrading our treatment facility to its current capacity of 9.3 million gallons per day, as well as handling the operations of our 6 million gallon settled water facility that provides cooling water for the Duke Energy Smith Energy Complex. Economic development. Over the past years of uncertainty, Richmond County Industries have fared much better than most within the region. We've had multiple expansions and announcements of 2 new facilities being built. I would encourage you guys to drive through the Rockingham West Industrial Park and the Richmond County Industrial Park on Highway 74 bypass to witness much of this growth firsthand. Fiscal year 23-24 were active times for economic development in our county as we saw several projects come to fruition, and many more prospective new clients visited Richmond County. A few of those expansions, Lathan Pools at our Rockingham West Industrial Park, their production has tripled since COVID and has not shown any signs of slowing down. The company has doubled their current footprint as well as added additional outside storage and 20 new employees. CAI Inc., which is next door to Latham Pools, their production has increased at their site as well. Their existing footprint, along with Latham, has doubled. Additional storing and warehouse are currently being added. Jobs and investment numbers have not been released on that expansion yet. American Woodmark, all you guys were there for that expansion. They completed their expansion in the Richmond County Industrial Park out on Highway 74. We're up to approximately 600,000 square feet in that facility now. They're currently adding 131 jobs. Most of those folks have already been hired. Total tax investment increase approximately $40 million. $40 million on the tax book. Global Packaging. Marty and I seem like we're out there almost monthly. Those guys just continue to be in growth mode. They're currently adding an additional 40,000 square foot facility with $25 million in new investment and 10 new jobs. This investment is also inclusive of an extension of a rail spur that they'll be installing to store more raw material. Direct Pack, out on Airport Road, they continue to be in growth mode as well. The company has announced a 200,000 square foot manufacturing warehouse facility on Airport Road. If you guys recall, this land was previously owned by the county. We acquired it through a strategic land swap. It was transferred to Direct Pack to grow their existing footprint in Richmond County. The expansion will add an additional 100 new positions. It's estimated the investment will exceed $15 million. And lastly, Direct Pack has acquired the former LTL shutter facility on Highway 177, and that transaction just took place around a month ago. Shell Building 6 was mentioned earlier. You guys approved that funding through PD Electric. It's currently under construction on our Highway 74 Industrial Park. It's 40,000 square foot pre-engineered metal building, as Mr. Smart touched on earlier. We have one of the most successful shell building programs in the state of North Carolina. That building is 40,000 square feet. It's pre-pad graded, easily expand up to 80,000. And the terms of that loan are 0% for 10 years, and those payments can be deferred for 24 months. It's a great fund that PD Electric assists us with. Touch on a new industry or two. The new industry that's adjacent to CSX, ITD, began production. They're intending to build a recycling operation to transform wood products, especially legacy and or junk railroad ties, into an environmentally friendly material called biochar. There are also approximately 25% of those ties that are being sold to Lowe's, Home Depot, and other large-scale companies for landscaping purposes. Biochar is accomplished through the use of vacuum-sealed kilns exposed to extreme heat. This facility, the tires are shredded and put in the kilns, and the first shipment of equipment has already arrived at the facility. And the company is looking to hire approximately 25 people in Richmond County, and the salary range will be from $20 to $35 an hour. Duke Energy, they have announced a new regional operations center, which is being built on 26 acres in our Rockingham West Industrial Park. That will be probably one of the last usable sites in that park. We worked with Duke Energy along with their consultant team to locate a few feasible sites within their service area. And after considering multiple proposals from our office, Duke decided to focus on the Rockingham West Industrial Park. This operation will be very similar to what Piedmont Natural Gas did at Rockingham West a few years ago with one of our previous shell buildings. The facility will be approximately 50,000 square feet with some outside storage. Tax grant program. I budgeted for the local tax grant program, which currently is just awarded to Enviva. We're currently their only active company that we have on our program, and we're in our 4th budget year out of 6 on that cycle. Nearly all of our industries have experienced organic growth over the last year, which mirrors that of a strong economy. Most have incrementally increased their jobs and their investment throughout the year. Marty Butler, our economic developer, management analyst, and I are cautiously optimistic about the foreseeable future in economic development. We are both looking forward to a strong 24-25 fiscal year. We're very excited about the opportunities that lie ahead with our Energy Way Industrial Park. Transitioning to our fire departments. Bob touched on a few of those earlier, and I have included in this proposed budget the following tax rates for our fire tax district. Northside will remain the same at 9 cents, Cordova 10 cents, Mountain Creek $0.10. I've also included in the proposed budget the following rate for the following fire service district, which is East Rockingham, comes in at 10 cents. All these are at the same level. We've continued to set aside funds to continue the program that began back in fiscal year 99-2000 to assist Cordova, Mountain Creek, Ellerby, and Northside fire departments in the purchase of new fire trucks. Additionally, this year we've added East Rockingham to that list as well. The money's appropriated a rate of $7,500 for a term of 10 years, or two departments have received the same level of funding, $75,000. I'm recommended that the fee departments continue to be funded with the same fee structure as they were last year. I'm making these recommendations based not only on the anticipated increased expenditures, but also taking into consideration the amount of funds held on hands by the departments. The funds generated by these tax rates listed above will provide for the expenses anticipated and requested by these departments. It is also important to note that our rescue agencies, Cordova, Ellerby, Hamlet, Hoffman, and Richmond County, will maintain the 50% increase that our board granted to them 2 years ago in their annual allotment. The Board of Commissioners and our Emergency Service Director, Bob Smith, was instrumental in lobbying for these increases, as those departments are an integral part of Richmond County's safety program. I'll soon be entering my 7th year as manager in Richmond County, and every year has been challenging. I'm certain this year will be the same due to major uncertainties of our nation's economy and the effects of future expenses and revenues for our county. Due to some staffing shortages, price increases, fuel increases, just to name a few. Many behind-the-scenes changes have been made, and I feel that have allowed us to operate more efficiently and effectively during these never-before-seen times. I'm certain we will witness more changes in the near future. I appreciate the support that I've received from this board and the entire staff since I was appointed manager back in September of 2017. The cooperation that I've received has been critical in our efforts to weather the economic challenges that we are experiencing while still providing the highest level of service possible to our citizens. I pledge to continue operating in the same manner that I have since I came to work for Richmond County in 2010 by ensuring that Richmond County and their taxpayers and enterprise fund customers continue to receive the highest level of service in the most efficient manner possible. Thank you so much, and Carrie myself will be glad to answer any questions you guys may have concerning the budget.
Thanks, Brian.
Yes, sir.
Questions, Commissioner, for Brian?
Man, you said a mouthful.
Thank you, Andy. Yes.
I'll admit that you're presenting us a pretty fair budget, and, it's really punching the gut this year with the way reval come in. I think that the community was expecting a lot more from us than a cent reduction in tax. And it's difficult sitting up here sometimes having to balance what's required of us from the state with, what they put on us just this year. The reordering of our local LMEs is gonna cost us somewhere between $560,000 to $600,000 with Trillium taking over. What's required of us to make sure our citizens continue to get the same services they get every year. Touch on a few of those is $650,000 extra in public safety this year. $30,000 to Norman to keep the lights on up there because of the situation that they have. Beautification of the county, really, there's $150,000 in this budget to demo the old locker plant that I'm sure everybody's tired of looking at. And the list goes on, and it's difficult to balance that with what we want to do as a board sometimes with what we got to do to make sure that the citizens of this county keep getting the services they deserve. But I do believe, no matter what, that next year we're going to be in a position to lower our taxes even more, and I think that needs to be priority number one when we start our budgeting cycle in February. And thanks to all our department heads that are here tonight. Y'all have difficult jobs, but you always work with us and give us the best of your abilities. And I look forward to working with you with this budget and see what we can do to keep moving the county forward.
Thank you for those comments. Yes, sir.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I just want to agree with Commissioner Grooms and reiterate
really, I hope everyone in this room is listening. Sandhill Center, which is now combined with Trillium, has decided to stop funding DSS in our county completely. And right in the middle of our budget, right? And we have seen things at our own clinic regarding how these LMEs work, and now the county's experiencing that as well. And it's more than unfortunate, it's flat wrong. And with the amount of children that we have in DSS custody and things like that, I hope that, I know all the commissioners are very frustrated about it, and I hope that our county and citizens will rally behind that cry, and let's work on really getting these LMEs eliminated, so we'll get the full funding of Medicaid that belongs to our county citizens who need it, especially our children. And I think that is the most important thing. So, having said that, Brian, I know you have, or Mr. Lane, I know you have worked tirelessly at trying to shave off as much as you can with these types of increases in our budgets. I want to publicly say that I appreciate the hard work that you've gone through to give us the best we can. We do have some unknowns that we'll be working through in the next few months as far as revals for large corporations that haven't even come in yet. So those kinds of things are forthcoming. And finally, I just want to say, please be nice to Vegas. And he has done an excellent job at what the state, not the county, what the state has required of him in these evaluations. Trust me, there's not one person in this county that wanted that to happen, but the state has required it of him, and we want to publicly say we appreciate you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank Mr. Land and Mr. Garner and all the department heads for your work through this budget process. It starts in January, February of each year. There are a lot of conversations that go on, a lot of number crunching that goes on to get us where we are today. Commissioner Gainey mentioned there are unknowns. There are unknown revenue sources that we cannot project tonight on appeals from large business and industry, on the reevaluation process, on public utilities and their valuation. And unfortunately, we have to adopt a budget by June 30 of every year, and we don't have all the information. And so we have to do the best we can to project in the most conservative way possible and put the county in a position to move forward without losing services for our citizens. And I think we do that. And when you listen to the budget message that Mr. Land gives, you know, it's lengthy, and there's a lot involved in a budget of this size. I think what you can take away from it is that we reduced the county's debt over the past few years by 50%. That's a good deal. We put more money in our savings account this year to help us in the case of emergency moving forward. You know, if you just look at it sitting around your kitchen table, those are the kind of things you look at. We're going to reduce the taxes by 8 cents this year, which is better than we've been able to do in the past 4 decades. But what Commissioner Groom says, I think, is equally as important, and that is it doesn't stop here. Our plan is, this board has been committed to reducing the tax burden on the citizens in Richmond County. Just because we reduce 8 cents this year doesn't mean that we cannot move forward and reduce again next year. As when you look at a reeval year like we have with all of our property being reevaluated and seeing all the increases based on the current real estate market that we have, projections get difficult and a little squirrely for us. But as we move forward, we'll settle in, we'll understand where we are, and I think we need to be committed to looking at continuing to reduce taxes on our citizens and improve our efficiency and our operating costs, which I'm so pleased that we've been able to do. The other part of the puzzle, Mr. Land mentioned our work in economic development. And Marty Butler is our economic developer, does an excellent job for this county, especially in the grant side of doing things and having a wonderful relationship with the Department of Commerce. But we can reduce taxes on our citizens and our property owners by doing a really good job with economic development. Because the more industry and business that we can lend to the county, they carry the burden, and we can reduce that burden on our property owners. So we need to continue to push hard in economic development. There are a lot of projects underway. I'm excited about what we've seen and what we project that we're gonna see in the future. And so, I think that you presented a budget that's conservative at this point, that's realistic, one that I can support at this time, with the idea that we're gonna continue to move forward to reduce the burden on the citizens of Richmond County. And that's what our goal should be.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Gary. Thanks for your hard work. I thank the commissioners up here for their hard work. A lot of time, money and efforts go into this. I don't need to repeat everything. There's one thing about going last, your thunder's already stolen, and there it was. So, but again, the most exciting times I think are ahead of us. It's awesome. All of our citizens, I know we had a reval, and property values increased. But that should be seen as a positive thing. Now that you've seen the cut from the commissioners on the 8 pennies, which if you value each penny what it is in our budget, that's just over $3 million worth of money cut, taxes cut across our county. So I think that is an awesome thing. Economic development is the key to our future. We know that. That's where we're going. A lot of people have interest in Richmond County as far as industries, which means more jobs and more money coming into our county to take the burden off of our people. So that's the key. That's where we're going, and we'll continue pressing on to do that. So commissioners, you have in front of you the budget. You've heard it from our county manager. He's presented it to you, and now I'll ask for a motion to approve the FY 24-25 budget as presented.
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Grooms. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? That's awesome. You have unanimous votes from the commission to approve the budget. That shows an example of y'all's hard work and success. Thank you to all of you. I appreciate it. Item 15 is to request approval of appointments to the Sand Hill Regional Library System Board to represent Richmond County. Brian, you got this as well?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. We're requesting that you approve the appointment of Ms. Catherine Vetter to represent Richmond County on the Sand Hills Regional Library System Board for a 6-year term beginning July of 24. I'm asking that you approve that recommendation.
Do I have a motion to request this appointment?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, sir. Do we have a second? Have a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? The appointment of Sand Hills Regional Library System is approved by the board. Item 16. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Item 16, update from Richmond County Soil and Water Conservation District. Mr. Jeff Joyner's here with us tonight. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Well, thank you for allowing me to be here, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Thank you for allowing me to give this short report from Richmond County Soil and Water Conservation. I'm Jeff Joyner, Chairman of the Richmond County Soil and Water Conservation Board. Along with me on the board is Jerry McSnee, Jim Chandler, Ryan Carricker, and Johnny McInnes. With me tonight I have Matt Reel, the Richmond County Soil and Water Ag Cost Share Technician, and we are currently without an administrative assistant and education coordinator out of that office. We're also working out of office is Neil Pravat, the National Resource and Conservationist, federal. Matt's position is 1/2 state and 1/2 county, whereas Neil is 100% federal, and the administrative assistant's 100% county. So we're all sort of mixed up and gathered up in there. But soil and water conservation, but they're putting, their job is to put soil and water conservation on the ground in Richmond County, and they do it well. The 5 board members approved the annual strategy plan as well as all contracts. and all the contracts that MAD has prepared for the conservation practices. Our motto, Richmond County's, our soil and water motto is, soil and water, yours for life. Has a lot of meanings, but the two that are the top of the list for me is good soil and clean water. We need it to survive. It's ours to live. The other is also we have soil and water all of our lives, and we need to do everything we can to protect it and pass it along and leave it better than we found it. In the past few years, we've been busy putting conservation on the ground. Richmond County has helped the farmers, but also the community as well as Richmond County tax base. I have passed out a chart to each of you showing the amount of income to this county that we wrote contracts for within this past year. As you see, those numbers to me is after that budget you just said, maybe they're not as impressive as I thought they were. To me, it's a lot of money to come in the county from a small office. The ASPS cost share program, administered by the Richmond County cost share technician, Matt, some of the things he does: lagoon biosolid removal, drip lines to stabilize soils around the poultry houses and so forth. Cropland conversion to permanently stabilize the soil in the croplands. Livestock exclusions to protect the streams and water supplies. To protect that protection. Close abandoned wells to protect the groundwater. NRCS, Natural Resource, puts in composters to properly dispose of dead animals. They do litter sheds to hold the poultry litter in a dry place so they can prevent runoff and keep it ready to spread on the soil. Tree planting, forestry is one of the environmentalist friendliest crops to put on the land. Controlled burning protects against wildfires as well as increased wildlife habitat. Thank you for the time tonight Thank you for your time tonight. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer. Or you can come down to our little office in the back corner of the Ag Center and see for yourself what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. We appreciate you.
Any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Jordan?
No question, just a statement, Mr. Joyner. We appreciate everything. It's important work. It gets overlooked sometimes, but it is appreciated.
I wasn't sure anybody knew we existed. That's why.
We know you exist.
And you've been serving in that capacity for a number of years, and I appreciate that commitment. I know this board.
About 22, I think.
Item 17 is the open floor for public comment. We have 8 that would have signed up that would like to speak tonight. A few more than we normally do, so just let me go over the rules here so everybody knows. So our open forum policy allows for 30 minutes total for the whole open forum session. So we have 8, so we'll hold you to about 3 minutes per person. Our clerk will take care of that timing, and so everybody can get a chance to speak with 2 commissioners. But the policy, just to briefly go over it, is it's available for any Richmond County resident or property owner can do this if they've already signed up to speak with us. I mentioned the 30-minute time frame. The public comments will be restricted to the business and activities of the county. Every speaker will be held responsible for his or her comments. If something, I hope not, but if something's deemed inappropriate, then I may revoke the individual's right to speak as the chair. I hope that doesn't come to that. Don't want that. Public comment is not intended to require the board to answer any impromptu questions. So if we don't respond to a question, it's not like we're ignoring you. It's just the policy that's in place. We have to follow this. We can respond if in order to clarify your position or if we don't understand exactly what you're saying. So the following stuff cannot be discussed in open forum. Matters which concern the candidacy of any person seeking public office, a request that the board consider funding a certain program or activity either from the current budget or from a future budget, matters in current or anticipated litigation, in other words, lawsuit, matters or comments which are harmful, discriminatory, or embarrassing to any citizen, official, or employees of Richmond County, and shall be no discussion of matters that are discussed in closed sessions, such as personnel matters or litigation, that type of thing. So just want everybody to understand, you got 3 minutes. I'll call you up in order that I was given by the clerk. First is Gerard Morrison. Gerard, welcome back. I know it's gonna be hard for you in 3 minutes, buddy, but you got to go, all right?
You know, the first thing I was gonna say is, I think we should, somebody should spin that, because we got a lot of citizens input, we need to make sure we accommodate that. But I
Go ahead,
respect it.
Gerard.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman, commissioners, citizens, Richmond County. Couple of things. First thing, our preamble says to promote the general welfare. It's one of the biggest ones. That humane treatment, that humanity piece. You know, great litany today about the quantitatives, but I also want to say, let's make sure we do our qualitatives when we're doing our budget and all activities. And that leads me into the thing about something simple as bathrooms. How many businesses here, especially gas stations, you know, we grew up where you go in the gas station, you can use the bathroom. Restaurants, you can use the bathroom. I was at restaurant Steve's Pizza, within 2 weeks of grand opening, the bathroom say out of order. Refuel, right there in Hamlet. 9 o'clock, they close the bathrooms. You take money for the gas, but you won't let people relieve their, I'll leave it at that. Humans, let's be human and watch the way we treat each other. To my knowledge, correct me if I'm wrong, when folks do planning and zoning and you have to get a certain number of parking spaces, to do business, you also must have a bathroom for the public, but especially restaurants and gas stations. So as leaders, I wish y'all really look into that. Let's make sure people can relieve themselves. We recycle, but I don't think we want to leave waste, speaking of solid waste out there. So just a suggestion. What I'm really here for, International Jazz Fest, April 30th is the day for it. Some of you all know, others don't. John William Coltrane is a native of Hamlet, North Carolina. We do the John Coltrane Music Edutainment Fest every year on the first Saturday in October. This will be our 16th year, Sweet 16. So, Mr. Chairman, we're calling this our prom. We're going to, those of you who haven't been to the prom, come on out for the Coltrane prom. I commend, I keep looking to the left here, but Mr. Grooms, the only one who's been. I'd like to see the staff and the elected officials there. Robin, before she was elected, one thing I give her is when I first started this fest, our team, she's one of the biggest persons to help me reacclimate back home and let me know where things were. So I thank you all. And I encourage the rest of you all to come out. International Women's Day. We had that in the past, and I'd like to acknowledge all the women and host our Mother's Day. We love you all, appreciate you all, and need you all. I heard her talk about elderly abuse and domestic violence. That stuff makes me cringe, so let's make sure we take care of our elderly, our kids, and our women. Black Music Month is this month, June. Please research this stuff on there, because we're limited time, we're straining this, but please research Black Music Month and all the contributions that have happened from this region as well as the U.S. Quick, I'd like to leave you all with little known facts. Motown, Berry Gordy. Guess what? President is his second cousin, former president of the United States. Anybody know? Jimmy Carter, 99-year-old Jimmy Carter, second cousin of Berry Gordy. Check it out on PBS on Finding Your Roots.
Thank you, Mr. Morrison. Time's up.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Next on the list is Jennifer Crumpton. Right here.
Good evening.
Good evening, welcome.
I'm here to speak on concerns regarding inclusivity and safety for our kids. As a parent, your only hope for your children is to watch them grow, thrive, to be happy, and to be the best versions of themselves. You don't get to pick and choose character traits or looks when you have children. You have the child that God blesses you with, the child God created specifically for you. Elijah, my son, is caring, extremely considerate, compassionate, and brings sunshine into the darkest rooms, and I feel privileged to be his mom. I'm here to address the recent remarks made by Commissioner Grooms regarding my child and, in effect, other children like him. As a community, it is our duty to foster an environment of respect and support, especially towards our young people. The comments made were not only hateful, but also goes against the values of inclusivity and kindness that we stand for. I urge the board to reaffirm our commitment to respectful discourse and to consider the impact of our words on the well-being of our youth. It is crucial that you as leaders set an example of positive and constructive communication for all citizens in this community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next on this is Karen Masterson. Good evening.
Good evening, Commissioners. For those that don't know me, my name's Taryn Masterson, and I stand before you as a proud queer person and lifelong member of this community. I'm here today to express my sincere disappointment and anger at the behavior of this board, particularly regarding the behavior of Commissioner Andy Grooms and the deafening silence from the rest of you regarding his actions. Recently, Commissioner Grooms shared a picture of a teenage boy, Elijah, who wore a dress to prom and won prom king, calling it sick. This public shaming not only incited a dog pile of online hate, but also targeted a young member of our community who simply dared to express himself. This type of behavior from an elected official is not only unprofessional, but also wildly harmful. It sends a very clear message that bullying and discrimination are acceptable, even encouraged in this county. Elijah responded to the online attacks with grace and dignity. They are confident and beautiful, qualities that they were recognized and celebrated for by their school when they chose him as prom king. Elijah exemplifies the very best of our youth: courage, authenticity, and resilience. Let's not forget now that at the same age of 17, our Commissioner Grooms was charged with multiple felonies, including arson. And another of our distinguished commissioners, Robin, we all know why she was made popular recently. We won't relive that.
Ms. Masters.
Your
Ms.
actions,
Masters.
yes.
Can't pinpoint out. Just keep talking, but make your point, okay? Please.
Heard. Your actions and inactions speak volumes about the values you uphold. When an adult in a position of power publicly condemns a teenager for their choice of attire, it's not just a personal attack. It's an attack on every young person in our community who's struggling to find their place in this world. It's an attack on every family who wants their child to grow up in a community where they are accepted for who they are. To the commissioners who've remained silent, your silence is complicity. By not speaking out against this behavior, you're endorsing it. You're telling our community that it's okay to demean and degrade those who are different. You're telling our queer youth that they do not matter, that they are not safe, that they are not welcome here. Shaming and othering us does not change who we are. It just destroys people you probably know and think that you love. In some cases, it kills them. This isn't hyperbole. This is the reality of the damage caused by bigotry and intolerance, the likes of which you've displayed. We all deserve better than this. Our children deserve better role models. Our community deserves leaders who will stand up against hate and bigotry. We deserve a board of commissioners that will lead with compassion, understanding, and respect for all of its community members. I call on this entire board to take responsibility and to act. Publicly apologize to Elijah, who did come today, and to the entire queer community of Richmond County. Denounce this behavior and take a stand against discrimination in all its forms. It's time for our leaders to lead by example and to uphold basic dignity and respect. It's time for Richmond County to show that we are a community that values diversity, that supports our youth, and that will not tolerate hate. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Masters. Next on the list is Christy Newton.
Hello,
Hey,
Commissioners.
Christy.
When I spoke at the Commissioners meeting previously, I suggested having a committee of non-paid, non-political, and knowledgeable volunteers to help with various aspects of the shelter. There are several of us that have helped in shelters, have had fundraisers, volunteered at adoption events, know how to read an animal's behavior, and have been in rescue for many years that can and are willing to help to make up this committee and willing to train volunteers and can continue to do these things which will save the county money. Volunteers are crucial. Without the interaction, excuse me, animals become depressed and withdrawn and then become less adoptable. Getting to know the animals, volunteers will be able to pair the right animal with the right family, which means less returns. If you will research even a little, you will see that the most successful shelters with the lowest euthanasia rates are the ones utilizing volunteers. A lot of these shelters have committees in place. The only reason that our shelter hasn't welcomed volunteers for years is the abuse and the neglect they wanted to hide. The state inspections and investigations have proven this many times. Contracting out the shelter in an attempt to try another approach failed because of hiring a company that makes their money off of animals. In this case, the more the animals they killed, the less food, meds, bedding, and staff they needed, and lined their pockets in cheating our community. The county imposed a contract that completely benefited the contracted, not our community. If the county intends to contract it out again, at least have mandatory guidelines that includes a high survival rate with animals going to rescue and being adopted and required to apply for grants to offset the cost. They need to make sure all animals are spayed and neutered before they leave, and if not old enough, they need to be scheduled, followed up, and reminded. It is the only way for the shelter to stop contributing to the overpopulation. Scheduling and follow-ups are another things that volunteers can do. It's free labor for the county. A very important requirement for a new director is transparency. We have not had that in the past, and many non-compliances and violations expose why they weren't transparent. We do not feel that the county leaders are putting forth an honest effort in actively seeking a qualified person to oversee the shelter, and it's past time to find someone to clean up the disgrace our county should feel from the disarray that the shelter management has been in for far too long, possibly seek an outside source if necessary. In the hiring process, there needs to be people that know the daily needs and what a director should know going into the position. If you do not know anything about the jobs or qualifications needed for the job, you cannot hire the right person for that particular job. As it is now, people are being hired and left to sink or swim, and the animals suffer and pay the price for that with their lives. We realize 6 of you weren't here when it all started, but you are the ones here now, and you have the ability to stop the cruel cycle of the wrong people running the shelter, and the power to allow this community to participate in our shelter, just like so many successful no-kill shelters.
Your time's up.
We are hoping that you, faces of our community, will give us an answer, and soon.
Thank you.
We look forward to your answer. You have my email.
Thank you.
How you got it, girl?
Next up is Jared Flowers.
She had to leave.
I'm sorry?
She said she left.
Okay, thanks. And Kevin Clark.
I'm right here. Hello, I'm Kevin Clark. I wanted to say something about Mr. Grooms over here in that current situation, but the old lady spoke so well. What I want to talk about is the budget. And before I do that, just a mere portion of Elijah's family is right over there. I want to talk about the budget. We've been
That's
tricked.
not what you signed up to speak on.
Yes, I did.
No, sir, you did not.
I did.
No, sir, you did not.
I talked to Dean and I said, the budget. So what do you have on that paper there?
I've got you talking about bullying in school and school funding.
School funding. Okay, I'll talk about school funding. So, we've been tricked, bamboozled, robbed, stolen. Not by these people here, not by anybody in this room, and certainly not by our hard-working school staff. What we have is a Leandro decision. Is anybody familiar with that? Yes, yes. Is the lawyer in here? Yes. If I say anything about legal things, please speak up. That's not right.
okay? So the Constitution, I have 3 minutes, thank you. The Constitution of North Carolina says the state legislature will fully fund the schools in North Carolina. 30% of this budget that was just spoke about has to go to the schools by state law. But the state legislature has to pay for the schools. Why do we have to pay for it? Instead of having a botanical garden, wonderful schools, nice, beautiful roadways, streetlights, curbs, sidewalks, and children who graduate from school who get good grades on the SATs, can enlist, have enough knowledge to enlist in the military, or have the skills to get a good paying job. Those are the schools that we deserve. Those are the schools that we are paying for. But the state has passed a law, unconstitutional, that this board, where's the guy who, budget man? How many millions of dollars do we have to pay from these people's money to go to the school instead of the state? $15 million. That's more than $1 million a month to improve this county. I'm asking the board at this time, with the lawyer, to do what Hope County did and sue the state to make the state pay for the schools as they are constitutionally mandated. Are they not? Are they constitutionally mandated to pay for the schools?
Mr. Clark, your time's up.
Well, they are, yes.
Yes.
Next on the list is Deborah Crumpton. Good evening.
Good evening, Chairman. Today I would like to talk to you about how people have the capacity to change, to let things be, and to learn to accept things, an issue in life. We as adults have to be there for our children in any case, good and bad, sickness and in health. We have to be the backbone for our new energizing society, no matter what. This world is changing, and we have to change with it. To be an official and to say something like that was wrong. My grandson is a very special, wonderful, entertaining, smart, and has no hate in his heart for no one. He was picked by his peers, so that should tell you something about him.
So this is Jerry Tilley. Welcome, sir.
Thanks, sir. Just a quick side note, when we were downstairs, we were told there were no cell phones allowed in here. There are a lot of cell phones. You might wanna talk to me about that. All right, hello everyone, and thank you for allowing me to speak today on such an important topic. I'm known for being long-winded, so let me jump straight to the point. Recently, a local elected official posted on Facebook in regards to a student winning prom king at Richmond Senior High School with the caption, "This is sick." One would hope that they were using sick in its good context, but that was simply not the case. Their comment section began to fill with the sort of vile, hateful, and homophobic vitriol that one would expect from a small town in the South. But at the same time, a growing number of voices rallied together to combat that hate and to shine a light on it, to force it out of the darkness. You see, lots of people get very brave behind the sharp clicks of their keyboards, but lack the courage of their convictions when the harsh light of reality sets in. So while there should never be a forum where an elected official is permitted to get away with such blatant disrespect of one of their own constituents without any repercussions, this community came to the aid of one of its own and a force for good and for right. So that brings me here today to talk to you all about a growing, very evident need in Richmond County, the need for inclusivity. This month marks Pride Month, and as far as I'm aware, Richmond County has made no effort to create an event or host a parade or do anything to let our brothers and sisters in the LGBTQIA+ community know that not only are they a welcome part of our county, they are a vital one as well. At the last meeting, I listened to 10 proclamations to celebrate holidays that were already celebrated, so it seems like that's just the thing that this body for which it was created. We can certainly organize these events without you, but we'd rather do it with you. One young lady wrote to me about the struggles that she had and continues to have as a youth that grew up gay in Richmond County. Shunned by her family, she had no one to turn to for comfort or support, and she literally had to leave Richmond County in order to find herself and get the help she needed, because that's the mentality that was and still is present in this county, and it's been allowed to be that way for far, far too long. Rockingham, the jewel in the crown of our county, bills itself as a city looking forward. Forward to what, I wonder? With views like those being shared by elected officials here in this county, it's forward to the past. And regardless of any beliefs you hold, that's not how any of us should want things to be. In closing, I would also encourage the county to adopt a social media policy in regards to its elected officials in order to avoid any future embarrassing blunders. Just something to think about. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, sir. All right, that concludes the open forum tonight. Commissioners, as I always do, I'll open the floor if you have any last comments.
Thanks for coming out, everybody.
Anybody else? If not, Commissioners, I'll ask for your adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Do I have a second? All in favor, please say aye. All opposed. Thanks. The meeting's now adjourned. Be careful. Thank you.